All right, we're doing chapter 2, section 5. Keep in mind your test is a week from today on the 17th. Proof statements about segments and angles. So we're still covering proofs. Last class we started proofs using algebraic proofs. But just a refresher, we are only using two-column proofs. With two-column proofs, you have your statements and you have your reasons. Statements are given information or the result of applying a known property or fact. Reasons are your explanations. We will not be using flowchart proofs. We will not be using paragraph proofs, but there are examples, I believe, in your book. Okay. All right, acceptable reasons in a proof. What is a good reason that I can use? What can I use when I'm writing out a proof? My reasons, which is my column to the right. 1 is given information. Sometimes you're not always going to be given the information in the statement or what they're giving you, but it can be shown in the diagram like we did last class with that last slide. That given information was in the diagram. Other things that you could use. You can use definitions. You can use properties. And you can use postulates and theorems. Okay, what is not acceptable? Do not write because I think so. Do not do it. This is not acceptable. Okay, please don't put because I think so, because this is how Ms. Chung taught me, because I remember seeing a question like this and I think this one goes here. It's not acceptable. Just know if you do write that, it will be wrong. You have to give me accurate information. So, theorems. Previously proven ones, we are on chapter 2. You are only using theorems from chapter, not even theorems, postulates, properties from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay? So yes, you have to remember information from chapter 1. Something you guys should know, and I've been saying it. Geometry is cumulative. Did I spell it right? Cumulative. Okay, please do not forget that. What does that word mean? That just means information you learned from chapter 1 and chapter 2. You will need all the way until chapter, let's say chapter 10, chapter 11, chapter 12, depending on how far we go. But all the information you are learning from the beginning of the school year to now, to next chapter, you will need for the end of the school year. Yes, we will still cover proofs using shapes in the future. Yes, you have to remember properties, postulates, definitions, and theorems from chapter 1 and chapter 2. So I highly recommend you make some sort of vocabulary, okay, with vocabulary on Notability or Quizlet or something that you can update. Please do not forget that information. I'm trying to help you be proactive, not come to a test in chapter 9 and say, oh, I remember that word, I remember it in chapter 1, but I don't know what it means. So please make sure you are practicing all of it. All right, 2 theorems that we are covering today. Properties of segment congruence. Properties of angle congruence. Segment congruence is reflective, symmetric, and transitive. We kind of saw the flow chart last class. Not a flow chart, but we saw a chart last class with examples of reflexive, symmetric, transitive using segments and angles. We're going to be looking at that again today. So here is my chart. Okay, here are my segments. Here are my angles. Here are the properties applied. Reflexive property is just the same. It's a reflection. It's the same exact thing. It's saying they're congruent. DE is congruent to DE. Angle D is congruent to angle D. Symmetric. Don't forget what symmetric is. Think of it as you have that line of symmetry. And you are switching the order. Okay, so I have DE is congruent to FG, then FG is congruent to DE. You are switching the order. If AB is congruent, or if angle A is congruent to angle B, then angle B is congruent to angle A. Then you have transitive property. Transitive property means you're getting rid of that overlap. Think of it again as law of syllogism. So you're getting rid of what's overlapping, you're taking out that part. All right, so looking at our first example of proof, please follow along. Given AC equals AB plus AB, they want us to prove that AB is equal to BC. So that's where we're trying to end up. Please try and follow along with how this is written. Always look at your previous statements that you used to help you if you need it. So, looking at this one, what do we know? What are they giving us? I'm going to kind of do it in different colors so you could see the format of what is going where. So looking at it, AC equals AB plus AB. They're telling me right now this plus this equals the entire thing. I'm trying to prove that AB and BC are equal. So next, first reason. What is my first reason always going to be? Perfect. It is given. And it literally says given. All right, next, look at it. I have AB plus BC equals AC. Does anybody remember what postulate that's called? This was from chapter 1. Katya? Perfect. If you did not know, this is called segment addition postulate, where I'm adding my two segments to give me my total segment. So this is called segment addition postulate, or SAP. All right, now looking at it, from 2 to 3, what is changing? How am I getting there? How did I get there? Go ahead and look at it and someone tell me how, well, first of all, what is changing? What is changing from 2 to 3? Any ideas? What is changing? Yeah. Okay, you could look at it as adding AB on both sides. But remember, I still have that AC right here, so I can't be adding AB on both sides. So it may look like I'm adding AB, but just kind of match what we have. This is staying the same and this is staying the same. It's just shifting over. So what am I getting rid of? I'm getting rid of that AC and I'm putting what instead of AC? AB plus AB. So what is that called? Good. I am substituting it. What else could I call that? Okay, I am taking out my AC and I'm plugging this in. So someone else said this was transitive. Is it transitive? I'm taking out my AC and I'm replacing with AB plus AB. So I would say that this is transitive. Okay, you're getting rid of that overlap. But if you put substitution, that is fine. Okay, you're substituting your AC. How do I know I'm substituting it? Because it told me AC is equal to AB plus AB. So I'm just substituting it for AC. And then what am I doing for step 4? I'm not necessarily simplifying. Good. I'm subtracting that AB on both sides. I'm subtracting AB, subtracting AB. So for step 4, subtraction, property of equality, POE. All right, questions on this one? Not too hard, right? Just following along, showing my work, understanding what it's asking me, and looking at previous information. All right, looking at the second example, we have a 7-step proof here. Please pay attention to this one. M is the midpoint of segment AB. They want me to prove that AB equals 2 times AM, and AM equals 1/2 AB. So going ahead, what's the first reason? Good, thank you. It's always given. My second reason, look at what it's telling me. AM is congruent to MB. This is a definition. If they're telling me M is the midpoint of a segment, how am I getting to step 2? This is going to be the definition of midpoint. Eventually, when you practice these, you'll see a pattern. If I'm going from a variable or a letter is a midpoint to my 2 sides are congruent, it's always going to be definition of midpoint. So if you see that, just understand it's definition of midpoint always. Now, from 2 to 3, pay attention to this one. If I'm going from something congruent to equal and it's not changing, it's always going to be definition of congruent, and we're dealing with segments, it's going to be congruent segments. So anytime you see congruent to equal, you're going to use definition of congruent segments, or again, definition of congruent angles. So 1, 2, 3, those are pretty concrete. Those are going to be pretty much the same if you see it again, because you're going to see that pattern. Something is the midpoint of a segment, then to something be congruent, always use definition of midpoints. Then if something's going congruent to equal or vice versa, you're going to use definition of congruent segment or angles depending on what you're using. Now looking at 4. Looking at 4, we've kind of seen this one before. You have AM and MB is equal to AB. What is that called? What's that? Ooh, something addition. What is it? Yeah. Segment addition postulate. Okay. So 4. Segment addition postulate. Again, you could just write SAP. Okay, I'm adding to give me my total segment. All right, now what's the change? Look at 4 to 5. What's changing there? They almost look the exact same, but there's something that's changing. What is changing? What is the change? How am I getting there? And how do I know that that is the change? I'm not subtracting anything. Yes. Okay, so I have a change. My change is My MB is changing to AM. How do I know? Why did it change? How did I get there? Looking at my previous statements. Could I change them? Could I change them? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because they're equal. Okay? Because they're equal. So what is that called? Good. I just substituted. Okay, I substituted those. So I'm almost to my answer. How am I going from 5 to 6? Okay, yes, I'm adding, also known as combining like terms. However, it is all you're doing is just simplifying. If I gave that to you and I said simplify, all you have to do is combine them. So all you're doing is simplifying. So simplify would be 6. And then how am I getting to 7? How am I changing from 6 to 7? Good. I'm just dividing. So this is division, because I'm doing it to both sides, POE. So yes, this one may look like it's a lot, but it's just a matter of following what they're giving you. Questions, comments, concerns on this one? You just have to know definitions. You have to know postulates. You have to remember them. All right, writing in 2-column proof. This one is angles. Follow along. Look at what you have. Given angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. They want you to prove that angle 2 is congruent to angle 1. I know it looks like the, silliest thing, but there is steps to follow. Please pay attention to the steps because it's similar to what we went over. So looking at it, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. That's given. Again, if I am changing something from being congruent to equal, definition of congruent, and we're using angles, so definition of congruent angles. Then looking at step 2 to 3, all we're doing is switching the order. It is symmetric. All you're doing is switching it, so it's symmetric property of equality. And then again, I'm going from something equal to congruent. So it's definition of congruent, and I'm going to angles. So it's not difficult. It's just a matter of following what is given or trying to figure out what is my next step. Okay, questions, comments, concerns on these proofs. Homework, please pay attention. You have to write the proofs. If you were given a proof on your homework for big ideas, you must write it out, showing the work. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, your homework is on big ideas.